Hello everyone and welcome. This is a new updated how to play video for Mage War. The old video was very outdated, so of course really good time to make a new one. In this video I'm going to go over the basics of Mage War and a summary of the how to play section. So let's start here. What is Mage War? Well, Mage War is the first ever free trading card game. The link for the free PDF download of the rulebook from DriveThruRPG is in the description below. The rulebook provides you with a point-buy system to make your own cards. You can also print and sell your own cards, and proxies are tournament legal. So the basic idea here is that you have 90 points, 90 mana points, or MP, to spend on the cards in your deck, and that's what the point-buy system is for. Decks are usually about 30 cards. This one here is 22, I think. This is a reworked purple alert deck. I realized the math on it was wrong, so I had to redo it, but it's good now. And so let's take a look here at the 3 card types, and we'll see what's going on. So actually, the layout for the ally and item card is the same, so I'm going to put the item down. But the 3 card types are Aura, Ally, and Item. So over here, up in the upper right-hand corner, we've got a number. That is the play cost of a card. And this is how much MP you have to spend in the game to play this from your hand. Over here in this box, we've got all the abilities that this card has. And on the ally, we've got the attack defense box down here. So we've got attack on the left, defense on the right. And that's the same, as I said, for the item card, but it's just on items you write it as a bonus. And then over here in the middle, we've got a number and a letter. Is that going to focus? I guess it's all right. So this number and this letter is the deck cost of this card. This is how much out of your 90 MP you spent to make this card, and the letter there is the rarity. And rules for rarity are given in the Cube Draft format section. So this card here costs 9 MP, and it's a rare. This one costs 2 MP, it's an uncommon. And this one costs 3 MP, and it's a common. So that is the basics of that. And in Mage War, at least from a design goal standpoint, there should be no first turn wins or infinite combos. So if you ever find anything like that, it means something needs to get edited, so please let me know. And to start a game, what you'll do here, you'll shuffle and cut your deck. And, oh yeah, over here we've got, so these are the token cards, and here we've got our alignments written on them. So yeah, in Mage War, you can play an alignment with your deck. And we won't go over alignments, but we'll use them to represent our base 2 resources. And so yeah, you'll shuffle and cut your decks, and then you'll roll to see who the first turn player is. And it's just highest roll goes first, ties reroll against one another, or ties for first reroll against one another. And turns rotate to the player to your left. And in Mage War, there are 3 turn phases: the draw phase, the main phase, and the end phase. Mage War also follows established rules for priority and the stack, or if you're a Yu-Gi-Oh player, the stack is activation chains. So let's say I'm the first turn player, I'm going first here. You'll start a game by everybody drawing their opening hand. And everybody who's not the first turn player will draw 3 cards. First turn player will draw 2, and then that'll become 3 when they actually do their draw phase there for their turn card. And although I said I wouldn't go over alignments, this here is the neutral motive alignment, and this actually gives you 1 additional card in your starting hand. So if I was playing with alignments, then I would draw 3 instead of 2, and this would become 4 when I drew my turn card. And so yeah, for the draw phase, it starts with untapping everything, but since we're starting a game, we don't have anything to untap. And then you draw your turn card, and then when you're good with what you have in your hand here, then you can move to the main phase. And another note, in Mage War, there is no maximum hand size, and there are no mulligans. So we've drawn our turn card. We're going to move to the main phase. And let's see here what we got. We got an ally, 2 auras, and an item. We'll move that up here. So the main phase is where you can play cards, do combat, activate abilities, and the order in which you do any of those doesn't matter. So you can do things in any order that you'd like. Let's see here. Like I said, these are your 2 base resources. So each of these can tap for 1. And if you're not playing with alignments or if you don't have alignment cards, you can use anything else to represent this. But each of these can tap for 1. And all other cards in play can also tap for 1. Of course, there are some abilities that change that up a little bit. But whether it's an ally, an aura, or an item that's not being wielded by an ally, any of those cards can tap for 1 MP when they're in play. And in Mage War, you can play cards on anyone's turn whenever you have priority. So the only restriction for that is with allies, which can only be played before combat is declared in a turn, and they can't be played in response to an ability being activated. But, oh yeah, and then tapping for MP does not use the stack. So let's actually go through playing some cards here. So this ally costs 1, so we could tap it and play this ally. And allies come into play untapped on your turn, but if you play them on another player's turn, then they come into play tapped. We'll set this aside here, but auras, if you play them, always come into play tapped, regardless of whose turn it is. Items can be played either directly to an ally, or they can be played to your field. And if you play them to your field, then they come into play tapped, or sorry, not tapped, untapped. They always come into play untapped, regardless of whose turn it is. And then, of course, the restriction of when you can play them applies. But let's assume we have this ally here, and it's our turn, so it comes into play untapped. And we won't go over, activating abilities or anything, but we can talk about combat right after this next section, which is destroying cards. So whenever a card is destroyed, it's considered to be in your discard pile, but actually it gets turned face down. And this is for any cards, whether it's an ally, an aura, or an item. And until the end of the turn that it was turned face down on, if it was untapped when it was turned face down, it can still tap to produce the same amount of MP that it could when it was face up. Also, face down cards aren't hidden information, so if somebody wants to know, you can just flip it up there. And then if you start a turn with any face down cards in play, then you can move them face up to your discard pile for 1 MP each. And the last thing to resolve on your turn is that if you started the turn with any face down cards in play, sorry, I should turn that face down, then any ones that started on that turn that you didn't turn face up to your discard pile get turned face up, and that doesn't produce any MP. So that's just kind of the odd mechanic here. But now let's talk a little about combat. So this is still in the main phase, and you can declare an attack with any of your allies. They each get 1. But attacks must be declared 1 at a time. So if I declared an attack with this ally, this attack would have to resolve before I could declare another attack. Each ally that you attack with can choose to target a specific ally your opponent controls. So if they have any allies in play, then you can choose which one they attack. And each of your opponent's allies need to be targeted by at least 1 attack before they can be attacked directly. So if an opponent didn't have any allies in play, then I could just attack them directly. And allies can attack the same turn they come into play, and tapping them does not prevent them from being able to attack. So if this ally was tapped, it could still attack. And when an ally attacks, it deals damage equal to its attack here on the left. And if an ally takes damage equal to or greater than its defense here on the right, then it is destroyed. So if this ally here took 1 damage in a single turn, then it would be destroyed. Sorry, a single turn if I didn't mention that before. So if it takes damage equal to or greater than its defense in a single turn, it's destroyed. And when an ally, or actually when any damage is dealt directly to a player, that damage is taken as discards from the top of your deck, or if there are no cards in your deck, then from your hand. And if you take damage and you have no cards left in your deck and no cards in your hand, then you are eliminated from the battle. So let's say my opponent was dealing 2 damage directly to me. That would look like 1, 2. And let's see if I forgot anything. Let's read through my notes here. Okay, so when you're done with your main phase, when you're done with any attacks you want to make or playing cards or anything else, then you can move to the end phase. And when you declare you're moving to the end phase, then you pass priority to your left, and anybody can activate things in response to that. If they do, then you can respond to it. And then, of course, the last thing to resolve on your turn is if you started that with any face-down cards in play, and they're still face down, and they're still face down at the end of your turn, then they get moved face up to the discard pile. And the last player remaining in a battle wins. That's pretty much it. That's the basics of Mage War. And I will probably do some more follow-up videos to go over an updated deck construction tutorial. But that's just kind of the basics of how to play. There's a lot more in the rulebook. Of course, we've got the alignments, there's global abilities, and cube draft, a bunch of other stuff. So check it out. Again, this game is free. Link is in the description below. Oh, and there are also links for these template cards here. So these are the template cards that I designed. Corey also designed template cards, and links for both from the Game Crafter are in the description below as well. So check those out. Hope you have fun. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.